What a beautiful ball. Now it's Cristiano Ronaldo with a chance maybe to seal it, and he has taken it. Lahm in all kinds of space. Lahm, Muller through Muller, could be embarrassing. It's three. Tony Kroos. Olivier Giroud. Barkley's found Klein with a speedy burst, and that's terrific from Vardy. Oh, what a goal by Jamie Vardy.
Hello and welcome to hashtag TFHP Euros. It's the Football Hipsters podcast, of course. I am your host, Kris. I'm back. I haven't been turfed out or put on gardening leave or taken out the back and shot or anything of those descriptions. I would like to thank John and Tom for very capably standing in my absence for the last two podcasts, but I am back. I have got John back with me tonight, in fact, so I'll thank him myself. Good evening and thank you, John.
Good evening, Kris. It was a pleasure.
Jolly good. I'm sure you'll do one or two more before the end of the tournament, so I'll thank you in advance. And I've also got Ross back with me tonight as well. He's had a very busy week himself, so he's quite tired. But thank you for coming on again, Ross.
Yeah, no problem. Good evening.
Right then, so we'll jump into the games then, chaps. We had our first selection of three for the round of 16 today, after learning of course, who qualified previously. So we started the day with Switzerland and Poland. Ross, I'm going to start with you on this one. What did you make of both sides? Because both have been dubbed as potential dark horses. One maybe slightly darker than the other, but nevertheless, Poland prevailed after a penalty shootout. We'll come on to the goals in a second, but overall the game wasn't exactly exciting at times, was it?
No, but it was still the best of the day, which kind of puts the whole first few games of the round of 16 into perspective. But it wasn't the most entertaining, but I still think it was the most interesting because of the way the team's set up, the way they tried to shut each other down. I thought it was also quite revealing about the current setup of the Poland squad, because Lewandowski just looks out on his feet. They're trying new ways to find new players to bring into the fold, and thankfully for them, Blaszczykowski is doing the job at the moment. The Swiss, I don't really know about the Swiss. They do just look a bit disjointed to me. I don't know why Seferovic keeps on starting for them. He didn't have a good game again today. So they're trying to find new ways of bringing in the goals. Shaqiri a lot more involved today as well. So it was interesting as a insight into the teams and how they were trying to approach the tournament. But as an actual spectacle, it wasn't the most entertaining.
No, fair points made. And John, what did you make of the Poles' sort of setup? Because they seemed to be in control for large periods of the game, and then all of a sudden, whether they got tired or whether they sort of took for granted the fact that they were in front, or whether it's just a lack of concentration. They have prevailed, as we'll touch on in a minute. But did they convince you in this game?
No, it was very confusing. I didn't see all of the games, so I had to catch some of the first half on highlights. I watched it solidly from the second half on, but it looked like Poland were fairly in control, and then Switzerland sort of came out of the shell and started playing. But Poland have been solid defensively throughout most of the tournament. Obviously, the goal they conceded, there's not a lot you can do about that. Great strike that it was, but there's kind of this plan of, make Lewandowski run about, put himself everywhere, get kicked to pieces by the opposition, and then hope he can win a knockdown for someone else to score, because they're not using him to the best of his ability. I thought Croatia in midfield was very good today for Poland. Looked very, very composed. Grzycki as well, in particular, was very good down the wing. And I don't think they're going to have enough to go much further, just because they do struggle a little bit to score goals. I know they scored a lot in qualifying, but the level of opposition they're facing is different. And I think we've seen throughout this tournament that majority of the teams, if they can't do the one thing they can all seem to do quite well is defend, bar one or two exceptions. Switzerland, for me, were very disappointing until the second half, from what I saw. They didn't really seem to get going. Shaqiri, who I know a lot of people will rave about the goal he got, he was good for the latter stages of the game, but he doesn't do that enough. He doesn't impose himself on football games, and if you've got that level of ability that he has, he should be doing it more often. He's just not consistent enough.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a very worthwhile point of making. Just on that Lewandowski thing before we come back to Ross with something else I want to talk about. How do you solve a problem like Robert Lewandowski? Because he is clearly one of the world's best strikers. He has been heavily marked in this tournament, which I think the polls already knew was going to happen. But he doesn't have work hard, so it's not like he's not putting in the hard graft. Do you almost feel like he needs to almost have one go in off him to really kickstart? Because if you look at Poland, they haven't been brilliant so far. But if he suddenly finds a score in boots, surely they're progressing without his goals. So if he finds his scoring boots, surely they'll be away.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk that he was shy of confidence before today's game, which I didn't really believe myself. I'm a bit confused as to why they're sticking with Milik playing sort of alongside him or just off of him up front. It hasn't really worked. I know he got the goal in the group stage, but I'm not convinced by it. They've got good potential down the flanks. Bashikowski, Grzycki, and the fullbacks all push on very well and can deliver decent balls into the box. But I think having that Milik sort of floating between being a second striker and helping in midfield, which isn't really what he is. He is a striker. It's not really working. So I think maybe they'd be better off putting another man in midfield, just having Lewandowski up front, and maybe getting a little bit control in the centre of the park. That's what they seem to be missing. Like Krakowiak is fine there, but he's not going to pick the ball up and run with it and run into space and find a little neat ball through for Lewandowski to run onto. The only chance he's got of getting a goal at the moment seems to be from a set play or from a cross from either flank. So I think maybe there's an argument for Milik perhaps being dropped. That might be a little bit harsh on him, but he seems the obvious one to drop out of the team to bring in someone else in midfield.
The thing to say about Lewandowski is Bayern Munich played 53 games this season and he only missed 2 of them.
Yeah, very true. I know it's the same sort of argument that's going on with other players like Ronaldo's and like Harry Kane's and certain players that have played large amounts of football this season. Are they just burnt out? However much of a rest they got before the tournament, it's not a huge amount of rest, is it? So
it's not a blanket excuse. I do agree with John that it's not a blanket excuse for how poor he's been, but I can't underestimate how big an influence that is on a player, considering how much travelling is involved in all that as well.
Champions League and all that jazz, absolutely, and of course internationals.
And it's fair to say he has been kicked to ribbons, to be perfectly honest, in this tournament. I mean, I know he is that sort of player. He's very physical and he likes the physical challenge. But if you've got a long season like that and then you go into a tournament where you are going to be the one player in that side that's going to be targeted throughout the match, any sly sort of kick that they can get on him or whoever the team, that you're going to do it. And it may not be in the spirit of football or the fairness of the game or whatever, but it's the sensible thing to do because he's the one you want to keep quiet, really.
I took one from Lichtsteiner, didn't he, today? That was a hell of a whack.
Yes, very, very naughty. And then Lichtsteiner got away with diving and getting Jezerdek, whose name I've just horribly butchered, the fullback.
Jezdracic, I think.
There we go. That's it. I'm glad you can say it. He did a nice little dive that he learned in Syria to get him booked straight afterwards. So very clever from Lichtsteiner.
Yeah, God bless him. And speaking of defence, Ross, I want to touch on, because you're a fan of teams that can defend well, and there is a bit of an art in it if it's done correctly. And we mentioned there the Polish defence, Jędrzejczyk, see I've done it myself now, Pazdan, Glick and Lucas Piszczek. As a unit, for me, they've probably been one of the most defensively impressive sides that we've seen so far. That unit is absolutely key moving forwards. Now, am I right in saying, I think is it Pazdan who might be suspended for the next game now? I think he got 2 bookings. So how crucial is keeping that defensive line in place if Poland are going to go further?
It is. I think it's also more crucial to have Krakowiak fit and on track. Because when Southampton did their amazing defensive run under Pochettino, it wasn't so much the back line that Southampton fans focused on. It was more Wanyama and Schneiderlin cutting out what was coming through. It was only the best attacks that then came through for the back line, but normally they broke down because the holding midfielders were coming back as well. So I see a lot of Southampton's defence under Pochettino in Poland. So yes, it's absolutely vital that the back four stay together as long as they can, because that's how you build more trust with each other and a better understanding, so you can drop in and catch people offside, better movement between the centre-backs and that kind of thing. But I would also say that the other big priority for Poland is keeping Krakowiak fit.
Been far and away one of the best players in the tournament in that position, certainly. And the goal, the Shaqiri goal, for those that haven't seen it, please see it. It's well worth it. Ross, what's your thoughts? I mean, people like different goals for goal of the tournament. Some people like build up. Some people like a thrash from 40 yards. I mean, this was just technically just incredible. A sort of bicycle scissor kick from the edge of the penalty area, no less.
Yeah, it's one of those goals that he'll never score again. Personally, I think it tops the one he got in the Premier League. I think it was against Everton, wasn't it, that he put into the far corner, which some people claimed was a cross and he said was a shot. I think it was much better than that one. And it's by far and away, I think, the best goal of the tournament. You might argue someone like Payet because of the importance it had and the way it kick-started the tournament, but for just the sheer technical quality, it was by far and away my favourite so far.
Yeah, absolutely stunning goal. Really, really was. And John, just drawing a line into this game then, obviously went to penalties. 5 out of 5 from Poland, has to be said. Some very good penalties. However, a man who has impressed many in this tournament, Arsenal's newest signing, Granit Xhaka, stepping up and blazing a penalty, possibly into Paris. He hit it that far wide. Just for those who didn't know, this game was being played in St Etienne. What did you sort of make of that miss and of Xhaka as a whole? Because he has been one of the players who's impressed, albeit sometimes he's been a bit rash, but that won't affect him surely before his big move, do you think?
No, I don't think so. He'll be disappointed because he can hit the target and he scored some goals for his time when he was at Gladbach. And he's been decent on set pieces when I've seen him take them. I don't know if it's a rush of blood to the head. It's just one of those things. I think it shouldn't be a lottery, but penalties are. If I always have this weird thing about it, professional footballers, if you're paid that much money, you've been doing it all your life, surely you should be able to at least hit the target. But sometimes it happens. It was a really bad penalty, though. I mean, very, very bad. So I did see some of the Arsenal fans on Twitter completely bemoaning their the striking capability of their new defensive midfielder, which was quite amusing. But that kind of thing happens. So he'll get some stick for it, I'm sure. But it was a strange game because Poland looked so much in control and then just sort of gave it up and went, there you go, Switzerland have it, and they got a marvellous goal to get back into it. But probably I think a fair result in the end. I think Poland, the better team, went through.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it'd be most unlike Arsenal fans moaning about a player on social media. That doesn't happen often, so it must have been a biggie. Anyway, moving on. Let's go back to you, Ross, because as our UK correspondent, you had quite a big game to cover today between Wales and Northern Ireland. And although this game was largely a game of chess, it was won by a really cruel sort of own goal from Gareth McCauley of West Brom, and Wales have done it. But does this sort of highlight just how far these two nations as a whole have come? Granted, yes, they could have drawn bigger sides, but to get this far for the size of the nations they are, and let's not forget Northern Ireland won their group. It's quite an achievement, isn't it, to be at this stage?
Yes, it is. I would say that it's probably this round was probably bigger for Northern Ireland than it was for Wales, and you could see that in the way they set up. They were just trying to stave off the inevitable Wales goal as long as they could and try and get it to penalties, or maybe just nick a goal on the counter or perhaps by a set piece. But yeah, of course it's a fantastic day, a fantastic match for both sides, and win or lose, the fans are always going to remember this as one of the biggest games in the national team's history. So, even as an England fan, it was just so nice to see them both out there, and it was upsetting to see the own goal go in. But at the same time, I would have been equally as upset if Northern Ireland had scored and Wales were out. So it's a fascinating game, and I'm sure that it will go down long in the history books.
Yeah, I think it's just amazing to think how far they've come. And when I say win their group, I don't mean, of course, their group of this tournament. I mean the qualification group. I think they won their group. I might be completely wrong, but I'm sure they came very high in that group. So it is quite an impressive feat. But what did you make of these two, John? Because Wales obviously now progress, and they did it today. Okay, yes, it was an own goal, and I think Robbie Savage's commentary of what a great goal was a bit over the top. But nevertheless, Bale's cross from a Ramsey sort of pre-assist, if you will, and those two are going to be key. But neither of them shone today, and yet Wales still found a way to get the result. So could you bet against them going into the next game in this tournament?
I thought Wales were really poor today. I was quite disappointed with them. I felt really sorry for Northern Ireland. I'll be honest, I was cheering Wales on, so I was glad they got the win because I had backed them in the game. But I thought Northern Ireland were the better team. Personally, Wales were constantly trying to hit the diagonal ball that they'd done in other games, and it worked really well. But Northern Ireland had set up correctly. I thought they were pressuring the fullbacks. Neil Taylor couldn't really get forward with any success, and who's down the other side? Kris Gunter. Sorry. Yeah, down the other side as well. I didn't think they got forward as well. The midfield was being pressured really well. Northern Ireland were pressing really, really well in the game, and they looked, the team trying to go for it more, and they stifled Bale and Ramsey, I thought, pretty well during the match. Obviously, they got the goal, and Wales got the goal, and then went on to win it. So I think the problem Wales have got is that whoever they face in the next round will be a level above what Northern Ireland offered, who, to be fair to them, I did think played very well today. But I think if Northern Ireland, a team that has players of the limited ability they've got, with all respect to them, then when Wales come up against a better team, then they're really going to struggle, because if they can keep Bale and Ramsey quiet, then surely a bigger team can. The only caveat to that, I would say, is if they come up against, say, like a Belgium or someone like that, it might actually suit Wales a bit more, because they will push on to them, and Wales trying to hit them on the counter is what they want to do in most games. So there's be a bit more space to run into. But I thought Michael O'Neill today, the Northern Ireland manager, got his tactics spot on, because he just denied that space in behind to run onto. So maybe whoever they're facing, is it Belgium or Ireland? I think
France or Ireland or Republic of Ireland. Yeah, France or Republic of Ireland.
Yeah, France or Republic of Ireland. I think the managers of those teams should maybe take a little note from Michael O'Neill today and say, you can push on and dominate the game if you want, but don't leave that space in behind, because that really worked very well today, I thought.
Is it not England that get France or Republic of Ireland? I've forgotten the way the brackets have fallen.
I've got it as winner of match 4. Match 4 is France and Republic of Ireland, as far as I know.
I have a funny feeling it's Hungary or Belgium. I'll have to do some digging around to see if I can find it. But
please do. I could be wrong. It does happen quite regularly. Although I can confirm Northern Ireland did win their qualifying group. Thank God. I had to go and check that just in case. No editing required. But yeah, I do agree with you, John. I think the blueprint has been put down here, and Wales.
It is Hungary, Belgium. Yeah, it's the winner. It is.
Yeah. Okay, I'm completely wrong. I hold my hands up. Well, actually, no, I'm not wrong. Soccerway is wrong. Damn you, Soccerway. So it's. Wales. Would Wales really fear either Belgium or Hungary? I'm not sure they would right now. Belgium have not been.
I think they'd love Belgium. I think they Belgium. I don't know about Hungary.
Didn't they beat them? Sorry, didn't they beat them in a friendly or in their qualifying?
They beat them 1-0 to get through their group.
That's right. Yeah.
At home, yeah. I think that was that was in Wales, yeah. So, they've got previous. So I think, like I said, I think the fact that you'll have the space to run in behind against the sort of the bigger teams. Maybe Wales would do better today. Against those sides. So that's one thing to look out for. But for them anyway, it's just fantastic to be this far into the tournament after everything that's happened with the national team, everything that happened with Gary Speed, the start that Chris Coleman had as manager. There was a lot of young players in that squad who've been playing together sort of through the age levels for a long time. I think they're just really happy to be there. And it was a really nice moment afterwards, the game, where Gareth Bale was being interviewed, and you saw him on the pitch afterwards with his daughter. And just before the match, she'd handed him a little note that she'd handwritten. He tucked into his shorts, but he wouldn't tell the reporter what it was. So it was obviously just some sort of nice little personal message for him, like "Daddy, do well" or something. But he looked quite emotional about it when it was brought up. It's a nice little touch, that.
I have it on good authority. It was actually a betting slip. Which was their house was on the line, so good job they came through. I am joking, of course. Ross, I do have to just touch on Ashley Williams in this game. I'm just going to put it to you this way: brave or potentially foolish? Because I'm in the second camp, and I appear to be quite alone on this one. But what was your thoughts?
Because they went through, foolish. If it was a one-off, if this was a friendly game, or if they were going out, would have been fantastic to see brave captain Ashley Williams stay on with a shoulder injury, which I think he's off for a scan now, so we're not still sure about how serious this shoulder injury is. But for me, the smart thing to do would be to come off and avoid getting any, to avoid making it any worse, and hopefully you can recover a bit quicker for your next game, because this is a tournament of wow, my words so fail me tonight. It's tournament football, and they've got a long way to go. They could make the final, considering the side of the bracket they're on and the opponents they've got. So for me, it's very reckless to keep yourself on. But I suppose he didn't seem to suffer any repercussions for staying on. Hopefully, when we get the scan results back, they won't be too severe. But for me, it was a big risk in tournament football.
I'm glad somebody saw it my way. I just thought it was absolutely crackers, and when you've got a player like James Collins, who is not exactly Paolo Maldini, but could do a job for 10 minutes and is experienced, and I thought it was the only sign maybe that Coleman was not showed his inexperience, because he's a very experienced manager. Maybe showed his inexperience at this level, because I think a stronger manager, I think of a Conte in that position. I don't think there would have been twice or two thoughts about it. He would have been off, and that would have been it. And I just think that if that happens against a better side, I was surprised that Northern Ireland didn't lump the ball towards him for the next 10 minutes, because they didn't get the ball a lot. When they did, they didn't seem to target him. And let's not forget as well, as robust and committed as the challenge was, it was Williams' fault in the first place for overrunning the ball when he clattered into, I think it was Johnny Williams, that this caused the injury. So heroic, but potentially could have been a little foolish. So I'm glad it wasn't just me. Let's move on then to our final game, and we should say congratulations to Wales, of course. Great picture of Chris Coleman doing the rounds on Twitter of with a can of beer in his hand and a cheeky grin, by the way. Do look that one up. Final game then, John, we'll come to you on this one first of all. Croatia, who I've gone on record as that really impressed me over the group stages, and I thought could be certainly a team that could go deep into this competition. They will go no further, because Portugal, who I'm reliably informed have yet to win a game at this tournament until tonight, have gone through with an extra time winner from Ricardo Quaresma, all 32 years of age of him. He doesn't have to look it now, by the way. What did you make of this? Because it was the game, we did a poll last night and everyone was looking forward to it, me included, and then it just didn't happen, did it?
This was just awful. I was so disappointed with this that everyone was really looking forward to this game. I thought this would be great. I thought Croatia, really good technical midfields. They can pass the ball around. Portugal as well. I thought, maybe it'd sort of swing back and forth a bit, but I kind of leant towards Croatia dominating the ball a bit more. Portugal trying to hit them on the break. They got great pace. It would be really cool end to end, loads of chances. And just nothing happened. It didn't really come alive until the second half of extra time, which just seemed ridiculous. I think that was the first shot on target. Was
two shots on target, and they were both in the goal.
Yeah. Just unbelievable. Croatia did dominate the ball at times during the game, passed it around nicely, but Rakitic just couldn't do anything. I thought Carvalho sat on him very well most of the game, denied him any space. Modric was far too deep. Perisic, for as well as he's played in the tournament, went back to what he showed at Inter Milan, which is great. You've got the ball and you can run really fast with it, but you don't look up and cross it enough. You try and win the game on your own, which is fine when you do it, but it's far too few. It doesn't happen enough. Mandzukic was very poor up front for Croatia. Didn't hold the ball up well enough, and he's not a mobile striker, so he's not going to stretch the defence. On the other flip side of it, Portugal, Ronaldo was apparently on the pitch. He really didn't do anything the entire game. Nani was very quiet, had one of those sort of games. Portugal didn't spark up, look particularly threatening until Renato Sanchez came on and actually had a bit of drive in midfield. They had lots of nice players who could pass the ball around sideways, very technical, good on the ball, but none of them were really pushing forwards. And it was just really drab, disappointing affair. The the only sort of excitement I think you could take from it was very good defending from Pepe and Gianluca at either end. I thought they were both very good for sort of dealing with crosses and clearances and things like that. But there wasn't a lot to really enjoy in the game. And honestly, the sort of sucker punch for Croatia losing the game when they probably should have scored at one end and Portugal to go down the other and score a goal. I'm really disappointed because I was hoping Croatia would go through. I think Portugal have been very poor this tournament. And yeah, they haven't yet won a game in 90 minutes. So just bizarre.
Really is, yeah. They have that look of that team that's just going to creep their way gradually through and maybe get there.
They always say in tournaments, you don't want to start too quickly because then you'll fizzle out towards the end, and you want to build into it slowly, which the sort of the big nations tend to do, like Germany, Italy, Spain have always done that over tournaments, which is fine. But I mean, Portugal are really, really going to have to at some point start playing football.
They've started almost backwards, haven't they, and start slowly coming sideways. It's bizarre. I thought the substitution, Marco Piazza coming on, really sparked Croatia, and I thought that was going to be the turning point because he was, for 10-15 minutes, he was absolutely outstanding when he came on, and it made me wonder why he didn't potentially start the game because I thought he was brilliant. There
was some very strange decisions from both managers. I thought the Renato Sanchez substitution was very good, but I thought Mandzukic hadn't. Yeah, well, Mandzukic hadn't done anything all game for Croatia. I thought Kalinic could have come on a lot earlier. Okay, granted, he wasn't fantastic when he came on, but what he was doing was running the channels and stretching the Portuguese defence and making a bit more space for the Croatian midfield to move into. And it just, both teams seemed a little bit like too scared to lose the game and didn't really want to go for it.
I think that's very, very well put. And Ross, you had one of your boys actually, Southampton's own, or two, I should say, Southampton players in the Portuguese lineup, Cedric Soares and Jose Font, part of a strong Portuguese defence. So by all means, have a word for them. And while you're at it as well, your thoughts on Renato Sanchez, because I mean, this lad is a few people that had seen him prior to this tournament. I was one of the lucky few that watched him quite a lot last season, and you could see even at 18 for Benfica, he's an absolute monster. So strong, so composed. What was your sort of thoughts on those three players in tonight's game? Because obviously you kept an eye on the Saints players, of course.
Yeah. Well, the game was about as much fun as watching Alan Titchmarsh feed his hamster, but I was interested enough in the two Southampton
That sounds
boys.
fun, to be
It
fair.
I was interested in seeing the two Southampton boys because the Portuguese backline has been so poor this tournament so far. It's always surprised me that Jose Font hasn't even appeared as a substitute. So when I saw that he was starting, I was A, made up for him, but B, quite interested to see how he would do. And I thought he really did organise the backline a lot more than previous games. The thing for me was Cedric Soares because with Koeman in charge last season, he was in it for half the season and then dropped for the rest of them. And there was always a question mark over whether or not he could go for the full 90 minutes, whether he was strong enough for the Premier League, whether he was clever enough for it. He wasn't all that great defensively. He was much more of an attacking-minded defender. And when I saw him play today, I was quite surprised to see him get picked. But I don't know what it is that the managers said to him or what the big difference is between the job he's doing for Portugal and the job he's doing for Southampton. But he looked absolutely fantastic in that game and was one of their best players in a game that was otherwise so drab. But yeah, the main one obviously was Renato Sanchez. I've not seen a lot of him. I got absolutely no interest in watching Portuguese football. I've seen a couple of games and Portuguese football does not entertain me. But I imagine if I had watched a game with Renato Sanchez in it, I would have immediately wanted to watch another one because he does look very exciting. I think it's Bayern Munich he's gone to now, so hopefully I'll get to see a bit more of him and see him develop. But yeah, he's certainly like a very lively talent. I remember watching one particularly bad shot which he dragged 30 miles wide, but other than that, yeah, he was by far and away the most creative player and the only player on the field that really looked like they wanted it on the Portuguese side.
Agreed. He's going to be a real superstar, I think, and Bayern Munich. I think that's going to be a cheap price when you look back on it, because he's just got so much. And the thing I like about him a lot is at 18, he's already physically developed, which is a bonus, but he already knows how to use that physicality. And you see a lot of players, ironically, William Carvalho is another one you look at. He's a big, strong lad, doesn't really use his size to his effect, and Sanchez is just so powerful. I think he does look the part. And a little word as well for Adrian Silva, who I thought was really good. So like just quietly doing the sensible things, winning tackles, getting stuck in, simple pass. I thought he controlled that midfield for Portugal for long spells. So good luck to him. And John, just quickly before we leave Portugal behind, they will progress, of course, and Croatia will go home. 2 questions kind of looped into one. One is, do you think this is potentially the end of this Croatia setup? There's quite a few players that are maybe the wrong side of 28, 29 now. And the second question is, for Portugal to go really far in this tournament, does it have to still be about Ronaldo, or is there a glimpse tonight that they can do it without him?
I still think they need him to perform. He's still, without a doubt, their best player. I think there's an argument that Sanchez, whether he starts the game, maybe he comes on a little bit early. I know he came on not long after the second half had started, but they've got good players and they've got good technical players. I thought they looked much better defensively tonight than they had done in previous games. And I did think that Font and Suarez had a large part to do with that. So they do still need to get him firing, or he needs to. I don't know whether it's him or it's the team. He didn't have a lot of great service tonight, to be fair, when he went up front. But I think sometimes he just needs to pick the ball up and kind of do what Bale has done for Wales in a couple of games, where he just gets the ball and just runs sort of 40, 50 yards with it and just says, look, you need to get further up the pitch, and just kind of give the team a little bit of a boost. As for the Croatian team, there will be some players in this tournament that won't be at the next World Cup, which I assume Croatia will qualify for. I can't see them not. The big miss will be Dario Serna, if he's not playing anymore, because I think he'd be 36, I think, by the time the next World Cup comes round. That'll be huge. He was great again tonight. He's just such a good player. Modric, I think, will be 32, so he'd still be in it. Rakitic, and they've got very good young players coming through. They still need, I still think they struggle a little bit with their strikers. Kalinic is a decent player. He's not amazing, and Kramaric has yet to really show the sort of potential that's talked about for him. But no, I still think they've got a very good team. I think this was probably their best chance, though, the sort of makeup of the squad they've got right now, of going really far and possibly winning the tournament, though.
Yeah, they've still got a few to come through. Of course, Kovacic, who you and I know well, Koric, Rog, Chop, Vrsaljko, Jedvaj. There's quite a few, and of course Piazza. There's quite a few that if they fulfil the potential they've got, they could go again, of course. But there's
the one thing from this tournament, though, is managers looking for defenders this summer. There's plenty to choose from. There's been some really, really good performances. Vida tonight for Croatia, I thought looked very good. It's only 27. Strinic, who obviously at Napoli, I think he's 27, 28 as well. Glick, who I know a lot of people ask me about him because he plays for Torino. I wasn't of the opinion that he was quite Champions League level ready from his Torino performances, but in this tournament he's been superb. So I might have to eat my words on that one. Yeah,
I'm with you. As you rightly say, its defenders really, really steps up, and Glick has definitely been one. I must admit, barring the hairstyle, Vida was another one that impressed me tonight. I must admit, he was he's very unlucky not to score late on as well with that sort of hooked volley. But
could have had a hat trick. There were 3 really good headers that he put wide in that game.
He could have. You're right. He could have. And he's a lot of people don't remember he actually played briefly for Bayer Leverkusen in 2010-11 kind of era, but he's now back in. He's actually Dynamo Kiev now in Ukraine. So yeah, expect him to maybe be on the radar of a few. So that's what we know of today then. So we know that we have qualifiers Poland, Wales and Portugal. So it will be Poland, Portugal. We know that, and we've already established by me being massively incorrect that Wales will play either Belgium or Hungary. So let's have a look ahead to tomorrow's games then before we go. Ross, let's start with you because we've got Republic of Ireland in what we shall now affectionately know this game as the Thierry Henry handball derby.
Is he coming on to the pitch to apologise to the Irish fans before kick-off?
I'm sure Thierry would love that. Knowing Thierry as we do, I'm sure he'll chuckle it off on live coverage. But it's France Ireland. Do you give the Irish much hope in this, Ross? Because even as quite an avid French follower and indeed fan myself, even I would be hard pressed to say France have impressed me yet. Because to be perfectly honest, they haven't.
Yeah, I still think the Republic of Ireland have got a decent shout at this. It wouldn't surprise me if it ends 2-1 tomorrow, because I still think France will sneak it. But I don't see the Republic of Ireland rolling over. I don't see it being an easy game, and they will give everything they've got to try and get through to the next round. So I don't think it's clear-cut. I don't think this is an easy game for France. I still expect them to come through it because of the sheer quality that they've got, but especially when you've got players like Shane Long who will just push his way around everyone and bully you and try and shake things up. France are going to have to work really hard to make sure they can quieten down some of the better players that they've got, like Jeff Hendrick as well. So I still give Ireland a chance. I don't think it's going to be easy, but I do still think it probably just be France.
Yes, I concur. I think it'll probably be much like most of these games. It will be tight. If it's not tight, I fully expect France to completely overpower Ireland. But I have to say I'm leaning on tight as well. John, Germany, Slovakia. Now this shouldn't be tight in theory, because you would surely say the Germans have got to be heavy favourites for this. But Slovakia proved against England that they are capable of sitting in and hanging tough in games. Do you think Germany scoring early is going to be vital for this to make it a straightforward day for them?
I don't think it really matters too much to them. They will keep calm and just do what they do, move the ball around, and they won't panic at any point. They're very composed. They are the World Cup winners. They've got a lot of tournament experience now within that squad. Yes, they've got some young players they've brought in, but they've still got old heads like Schweinsteiger and whatever that they can bring on if they really need to put some experience out there. But yeah, I expect it will be Slovakia backs to the wall, Germany with most of the ball. And then Slovakia, whenever they can, trying to hit some sort of ball out through Hamsik to someone like Weiss running down the wing. The problem that Slovakia will have is Boateng fit for the game? Does anyone know? I'm not sure.
He's a doubt, I think. Chances are he'll make it, but he's a doubt, I think.
Yeah, that would be the one worry I would have for Germany. I still expect them to win it, but because they do throw so many bodies forwards, it is just generally the two centre backs at the back. And what Boateng gives you is he's a fantastic defender anyway, but he's got unbelievable pace and just his reading of the game and just strength, physicality. He's just a very smart player. Whilst Hummels is a very good centre back and very accomplished, he is, he's not the quickest, so he can be got at. And that ball over the top or in behind, that will be on most of the game, I'd imagine, Slovakia, if they can win it back in the right areas. So if Boateng's out, then maybe Slovakia can get one, but I still expect Germany to have far too much for them. The one thing I would say is that they've got to start Mario Gomez, because having Goetze up front against Slovakia, who are just going to sit in against the likes of Martin Skrtel, just isn't going to work. He will just get knocked about all over the place. So if they want to play Goetze, play him out wide or something like that, that seems fine to me. But I think you need a focal, big target man sort of to play off against these kind of teams.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, Germany by 3. I'm going to stick my nose out. What am I going to stick out? I don't know. Let's move on. I think I think Germany by 3. It's been a long week, boys and girls. It's been a long week. Ross, bring us back to some measure of.
I'm not going to be much help. I'm knackered.
No, true. Hungary, Belgium. Will the Belgians be hungry and all that? What do you think this? Because this might be a bit closer than people expect. Hungary have impressed a lot of people. That they've got very different ways of playing, and it seems to be working. Albeit they may not have played some brilliant sides yet, but they've got through on merit. I can see this one being another tight one, but do you think Belgium will have just that little bit too much, or could we see another upset in this game?
I think it'll be Hungary. I do. I just think Hungary will win. I said this to Drew when we stopped recording the other night. We were going through the games just between me and Tom, and I said that Hungary were my pick for that game. Watch them now be overpowered 3-0, but I think Hungary have got such a good work ethic. They've got such a strong defensive unit. They, as a team of 11, are just so solid. And I do just still have doubts about the Belgium team. I don't think they'll be as good as they were in the game they won last week. So, for me, if I was going to put my money on it, which I'm not going to, but if I was, I'd put it on Hungary. But at the same time, with a team like Belgium, you can never count them out because of the sheer quality they do have. They could still blast a team like Hungary away. But I've just got a sneaky feeling for Hungary.
Yeah, I think I can see why you're saying that. Actually. I think that one's going to be a little bit tighter than people expect, and it'll be worth watching, definitely. So we have 3 more games to cover tomorrow. Before we leave you, we of course will do our hipsters vote of the day, and it'll be interesting to see who people go for today, because there hasn't been that many standout performances. So hipsters choice of the day, John, have you got a name for me across the 3 games?
Yeah, I was going to pick Grzycki for Poland. I thought he's very, very good today. I thought he was one of their best attacking outlets. It's a shame he had to come off.
I kind of agree with that, actually. I'm a big fan of Big Camille. What about you, Ross? Who have you plumped for?
Despite the lack of quality today, I actually had 4 that I was thinking about. One was Font, because of the way he organised the Portuguese defence. The other was Suarez, but that's completely biased because Suarez has such a hit-and-miss season for us. He looked very good tonight. I was also going to go with Kris for Poland, but the one I've decided to go for is James Chester for Wales, because I thought he was just absolutely infallible in that game. Everything that came near him, he managed to get to first. He cleared away. He was towering above everyone. So for me, it's James Chester.
Oh, see, this is another tough one for me, isn't it? Because, yeah, I like both choices. I'm going to go with Ross just on this one, mainly on the strength that, as you rightly say, Chester was fantastic today, and he hasn't really played a lot of football this season, whereas Kamil Grzycki, of course, has, because I love him lots, and I've seen him a lot, and people would accuse me of being biased, but I do think that's a good shout, John, and a little nod, as I said earlier, to Adrian Silva for Portugal as well, for my liking. But yes, I'm going to go with James Chester, so we shall make him our official hipster of the day. Good shout. Okay, that will pretty much do it for us then on our return, having had a couple of days off. It's all systems go once again. We will be. I know, who has days off these days? We will of course be back when will we be back? Tomorrow, yes, that's the day after today. We've got 2 special guests actually tomorrow. We have got Rich Allen returning of French Football Weekly, and we've got the lovely Lana returning again as well. So it'll be an all kind of French off, if you will, and I believe Drew will be on as well to talk Belgium. So we'll be back tomorrow. We very much appreciate your time this evening. Thank you for listening as always. We still continue to fight our way through the issues of iTunes. So once again, if you are an iTunes subscriber, we apologise. We still can't get to the bottom of it, even thanks to the help of our good friend Mark J. Fine. So thank you to Mark, who's been trying to help us out with that as well. But who knows? iTunes may miraculously recover, but if it doesn't, you can get us in the usual places: Stitcher, iTunes Store, YouTube, or through our website. So please do tune in. Right, that's it. That's it for us then, and that's another game day done. It just leaves me to thank my 2 guests this evening. So thank you very much to Ross, and thank you very much to John.
Cheers, Chris.
And we shall return tomorrow when we'll look at the French and the others and see how they've got on. But until then, keep your pipe stoked and your satchel clean. I have been Chris. I have returned, and we will be back tomorrow.
A match winner. Is this the moment? It is. Divock Origi. There and now Pillar, and they now have the breakthrough.
Fail.
To Greener.